the composition page and go down to the last video here, assignment 2 instruction. This will tell you how to download the zip file from the Stanford website. And you already did that? Great. So, and import it into your Eclipse. And so this is the result of that import. And of course this is the starting program of one of the assignments which asks you to draw a target sign on the screen. But we're not going to talk about that today. Today we're going to talk about something more basic, variables. What are they? How can we use them? So first of all, to be able to do that, we need to start with a simple program. And similar with the lecture, here we're going to create a console program. So let's see that we can actually name a class variable test. So this will be our playground to play around with variables. So we'll see, and and this will be extending console program. And then click finish. As you can see, it creates a new class called variable test and extends console program. It says a wiggly line here because it doesn't know what the console program is.
So you have to import.
So you have to import this. And as you hover your cursor over that wiggly line, it actually shows you several options. And here you can click this one. Ooh, we have it fixed for us. Now we just need to, as the lecture shows, public void run, and this will be our program that runs. And we can actually first show something which is familiar already. So you're already familiar with this, which is a for loop, and 0 and I smaller than, say, 9, and then I plus plus. You already saw this in your Carol program, and what's so interesting about this? So first, let's see this. So this is also something you saw in the lecture. You can print something. For instance, I just print a star. So tell me what this will do. Read this program and tell me what this program will do.
There will be 9 stars next to it.
Yeah, it will be 9 stars. And how do they lay out?
In a row.
In a row, yes, exactly. So we'll actually see in a row. So let's see. And we'll run it. And you can see that it prints 9 stars in a row, 1 line each. So what's so interesting about that? This may be actually the most boring program on the world. Why do I show you that? Well, it will become interesting in a while. So remember we talked about the variables, right? And you already see how the variable you used in the lecture. And we can define a variable which is a type integer, and the name can be x, and then it can be read in using a function called read int. So this is you saw on the in the web. So here you write something. So like please enter a number. So here that you read the keyboard input and then put that value into X. Now can we actually use X?
Yes.
So come up with a way to use X. So remember, actually, anytime you see those literal values, those numbers, can be replaced by an expression.
So it could be I is less than X.
Yeah, so an expression can be a number, such as 0, 9, 120, 1000, or something like that. Or it can be a variable. Or it can be a combination of variable or value. So first that we can actually replace it with X here.
But X
And or we can actually replace it with X times 2. This still works. And we can actually replace it with X plus X. This still works.
But X is a
Variable.
so you can do anything with it?
What do you mean by anything with it? What do you want to do with it?
Nothing, but like a for loop, doesn't it repeat? So what is the I is less than whatever? What does that do?
Okay, cool. Let's actually try it. So basically this will repeat X times. And so remember, the for loop will run from I equals 0 to I smaller than X. Whatever you put in X will be used here. So this will print number of X in a row. And the number of stars is print depends on your input. So let's run it. And so for instance, I will run it, I put in 2. It prints 2 stars. And sounds still very boring. And let's actually try this. So instead of print line, which each time it print X and it actually goes to the next line, there is another function called print. Print is that it just prints this without going to the next line. So next time they go print, it will actually print something to the right of it. So it will actually go horizontally. So let's try that.
Make it 5 million.
Well, maybe you can actually smaller than that, make it 40. So it will print 40 of them. Okay, now it begins to actually get interesting. So what if I tell you that I do this?
Make another for loop.
So I can tell you this does what? This basically goes to the next line. So this prints something and goes to the next character, which means that whenever I call this many times, it will go like this. Whenever you reach this line, it will go to the next line. So you see, actually we have a nested loop here. A loop inside another loop. Guess what this will do?
Like a bunch of lines of forest.
Yes, and
is the number of lines there. So
Yes.
you need to input 2. Oh wait, no, x.
So let's run it.
So it's like a square. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it will print a square with the size of.
That's not as. Oh, because each line is.
So what it does is that it goes first into this inner loop and run it for like X number of times, and then it go out of this loop and then run this line, which goes to the next line, and then repeat this X number of times. Okay, now try to solve this problem for me. So basically this is a rectangle, this is a square. The size of the squares depend on your input, x. What if I want you to print a triangle? So what I want to do is print something like this. So this is something like this.
Oh, right. Wait, is it like this kind of triangle? It's this kind of triangle. Oh, okay.
So can you print something like this? This part.
X plus 1 each time.
So how can I modify this to achieve this? So remember there are two nested loops, right? So the inner loop print a line, and then the outer loop controls how many lines you do. And you want to be able to achieve the fact that the first line print 1, the second line print 2, the third line print 3.
But then X doesn't matter.
X does matter. X controls that how many lines you actually do.
Oh my god.
Give me a guess. How do you do that?
Then X should be the number of lines.
Yes.
But X is the number. You know, it's the number of stars. But also the number of lines. But usually the number of stars depends on the number.
So actually, one pretty important revelation here is that I and J are variables too. So X is a variable, I is a variable, J is a variable. We can actually trace this and see how X and Y, I and J change. So let's put a breakpoint here. And then we run it. And then give it a value 3. See how the values change. So you can actually hover this to over I to see the value of I. But we're actually stopping at the point right before we go into the loop. So by this point, I is not defined yet. So I doesn't have any value. X, on the other hand, is already defined. X is 3. Then we go into first, and then this is I is 0, J is 0, and then it will actually print this star. The first star appears here. Now goes to the next iteration. Now I is 0, which means that we're still in the outer loop, we're still in the first iteration. But in the inner loop, we're already at the second iteration where j equals 1. So now, remember that I and j by itself are variables, and their value changes as your loop progress. So now you have a j equals 1, and then it prints another 1. And then j equals 2. Here, j equals 2. I still equals 0 because our outer loop is still the first iteration. So that's how the different numbers progress. And that's how you actually print. You can see on the left-hand side how it actually print the lines. Now, let's stop this. You already know how it works. And say, what if I replace x with I plus what will this do?
So basically, when you get into the loop, I is 0 first. So the first one would be 1 star, and then I will equal to 1, and then it will be 2 stars, and then so form like
form a triangle exactly like this. So let's try it. So that's the number 3, and let's remove this, and then just continue. Resume.
Yay!
That's a triangle. And let's give you some other challenges. So I want to have it reversed.
Oh. You make. Oh, I think I know how to do it.
So how do you achieve this?
Do you put?
So that's my request now. So this triangle reverse. How do you?
Instead of j is less than I plus 1, you can do j is less than I minus. No, j is less than x, so back to the beginning. And then instead of I is less than x, you could do I is less than. Wait, no, that doesn't make sense.
So you think about it. The first line is x, right? So when I equals 0, you want this value to be x. When I equals 1, you want this value to be x minus 1.
So
when
it's
I
x
equals
minus
2,
I.
yes, it's x minus I. So let's try that. Let's try a big number.
10. Yay, it worked.
Okay. Now an even harder question with this. So you can see that the problem is basically a mind game. How do you figure out how to form the expression to achieve the goal you want? So I want you to form a reversed
Oh. Oh. I'll just have like oh shoot. No. The numbers.
So you can actually pad this by using print space. So you can actually this part can be achieved by a for loop wrapped with
Print
this.
space. Can you
Yeah.
do that?
Yes, you can do this, and this will actually achieve this part.
Then why are there X's? Oh, because you're outside the class.
Yes, and you're outside the classes. So think about it. How can I do this?
Another for loop after the print star?
Another loop for loop after the print star, or before the print star. You want
before
something before the print star? Yes. Another thing before it.
Okay.
And print. And so how do I form this?
K is equal to 0. K is less than I plus 1 K plus plus.
Okay. So basically what you want to do is on the left hand side,
It's like
you want to print a triangle with spaces.
So it's like what we did before.
Yes, it was.
Just do like
So that's how you do it.
yeah, X, it's I.
And is this correct?
It's X plus 1? Yeah, it's X plus 1. Not I plus 1. Right? Oh yeah, it is.
So let's see.
Wait, I thought it's X. Oh.
That actually sounds correct, but there is an extra here. So you can use just I.
Oh yeah. Oh, haha. So smart.
And maybe 20.
Oh, big triangle.
Okay. Okay. I have another.
Oh, yay!
So what if I want you to print something like this? So assume that the number is always an odd one.
Oh.
And so basically how many we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, this is 11. And remove this one. And then we actually got.
Oh. Just do like plus 2. Yeah.
Okay, and then you want to have a triangle like this.
Oh no.
Isn't that fun?
Can we get Carol back? I think Carol can do it. Carol can do it.
Oops, sorry.
I'm sorry, Carol.
So this is, you got the idea?
Yeah.
No, this is not right.
Oh no. Next we're gonna do the right side of the triangle. first do so when you print the star, you do X.
Okay, let me lay out the way to think about this. So basically, the first line is again, you want to print X. And the second line, you want to print X minus 2. And this third line, you want to print X minus 4. So here, that in this, forget about the indentation first. So our first thing is that we concentrate on the number of stars. So we ignore this first.
So it's X minus 2I. Is it?
Yes. So basically, it's that X minus 2I. And
you have to do the times.
2 times I. And how many times we do this?
Oh.
So this is
Until
11.
You run out. Until you get to 1.
Yes, until you get to 1. So, X minus 2I equals 1. So you can use that X minus 2I greater or equal so this is by itself a Boolean expression. See, this actually works because this is expression of Boolean expression. As long as X minus 2I, this one, which is the size of the line, and as long as this is true, we just keep printing. Okay, let's see whether this gives us the result we want.
No, because it doesn't have the spaces we want.
So let's say we have 11. So it does give us the result we want. Now let's worry about indentation. So we already know that the way to indentation is to add another loop
with spaces.
With spaces. How many spaces we print?
So first, int k equals to 0, and then k less than.
So the first line you don't need to print anything. The second line is 1. The third line is
2. Oh yeah,
2.
1, 2. So it's just.
So it's just I.
Yeah. Yeah. And then k plus 4.
Now, how do I save this? And then run. So this is how do you use variables and how do you do decomposition. And this decomposition is kind of different from what we had before, but it's still decomposition. The first is that you worried about the first step, you write this part, which means that you only worry about the number of stars in this line without worrying about indentation. In the second step, you worry about indentation. So the whole idea of programming is based on divide and conquer. How do you actually, when facing a problem, to divide it into smaller and easier problems and tackle one of them one by one. So that's the essence of programming. Divide and conquer. Okay, now let's use variable to simplify some of our existing things. So let's see which one of them is actually worth that. So remember we have a triple beeper here. And what does it do? Let's run it. Triple beeper. Oh, we need to actually put some beeper in it. Let it work. And then we need to add. Okay. Say word. Let's use and then start. Oops.
Carol has a bug on his face.
So move triple beeper in pile, move backward. So I guess we have
A bug!
a bug. But anyway, so we don't care about this thing here.
You didn't even change anything from last time.
So what we want to do is, given now we have variable in our power, can we implement a triple beeper more efficiently?
Oh yeah, x times 3.
Yes, now you have. So first step is to count how many of them in there.
You can count?
Yes, it can count.
Yay! Carol, you just got.
So we can remove all these.
I'm sorry, Carol.
We can remove all these and so how do we count? We actually define a variable which is again integer named number of beepers equals 0. So before everything we don't have any beepers, right? And then we move, which means that now carrier is standing on top of a pile of beepers.
Yeah. And
then we count by picking up things while
beepers present.
Beepers present.
Count.
Pick beeper and then
Right.
Have you seen this in the lecture?
Like total is equal to total plus 1. This is math. Pull up.
So this expression doesn't make any sense in math. Because math you cannot say x equals x plus 1. It's never true. But variable is not the variable in math. This variable represents some cell in your computer memory.
And then you add 1 to that every time.
Yeah, so here you declare a variable, which means that the compiler will allocate a small piece of memory so that you can store that number. And then first you store 0 to it. And whenever you run to this line, you take that value from that variable and then add it by 1 and then store it back.
And then you repeat.
And then you repeat. How many times? Until you cannot pick beepers anymore. So this basically is counting the number of beepers. And by this line here, the number of beepers should match. The number of beepers variable should match the number of beepers in your world. So let's see whether that's true or not. You can actually verify your result by just using this. So put a breakpoint here. Wait, why doesn't it allow me to put a breakpoint?
You have to put it at the very top.
Okay, whatever. So let's try it. Oh, I still need to load this one. Okay, so here's 5, and then we just start the program, and then it starts to run, and then we just keep going and watch the number there goes down, and then the number of beeper here goes up. So now it's 3, and then go up. Now it's 4, and then run it again. Now it's 5, and then it won't run again because there's no more beepers. So now you can count.
So now you move and then you put all those beepers that you remembered down times 3.
Times 3. So what do I do now?
Place number of beepers times 3. You have to first move them to the next spot, don't you? Wait, do you? Yes, you did, right? And then.
So you basically want to wrap
beeper, put beeper,
and you want to run it many times.
Yeah.
How many times?
15.
15.
Number of beepers times 3.
So here is that times 3. So this is triple beeper, and then you can actually move out of the way so you can actually show the number.
Move backwards twice back to the corner.
Oh, we can just move to show the number. Yeah. And let's run it. So we load the world. And then we start. Remove this. And then continue. Oops.
Carol has a bug in his face again.
Oh yes, there's no beeper in the back, which means that we need to fill Carol with beepers. And so we actually edit the world. So wait. So let's go back and run it again. And then load world. Edit. And this.
You put the infinite number.
Okay, save world.
Start program.
Start program. Much easier, right?
Looks so much better than the other one where he's like.
Yeah, so the reason is that now all of a sudden it knows how to count. And then the for loop
Has variables.
has variables, which means that you can actually do a variable length of loops. You don't have to be fixed length loops as a for loop. And that's how it's done. What else? So, okay. So that's basically what I want to talk about today. So the lecture talks about variables, and I think it's beneficial to reinforce this very important concept that you never dealt before. And this is how you use variables. Now go back and try to re-implement midpoint. So
Oh, can you like move and then you count?
yeah, so basically the idea is that you can actually move to the end of the line then while counting, so you know that how
and then
wide
you
the
just divide
thing.
it by 2, and then you move divided by 2
Yes,
x, and then you put a beaver.
so that's pretty much it. So basically, yeah, that sounds easy. And still, please finish
the target. Right. The target in
this one. Finish midpoint Carol. Now you can use variables. That should be simple.
Yeah.
And these two. Okay? Okay, thank you for coming. And this is the end of class today.